With Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse coming out this week, well, we get the chance to hang out with everyone's favorite new Spider-Man, Miles Morales. And in preparation for the movie, well, I thought today we would take a look at Miles, his powers and abilities, and see just how powerful this version of Spider-Man truly is. And more importantly, can he ever actually surpass Peter Parker in power, taking that top spot as the ultimate Spider-Man? Well, let's get to it. Miles was just an ordinary teen until he was bitten by the Oz formula modified spider that had been snuck out of the then defunct Oscorp. This bite granted him a wide array of powers, including the traditional Spider-Man power set, but it also came along with electric-based powers that he dubbed his Venom Sting and the ability to become invisible. Miles would then serve as his universe's Spider-Man for years, Earth 1610, and he'd even occasionally interact with the Peter Parker of Earth 616. During the events of Secret Wars, though, Miles was one of the few people to survive the end of all things, and actually ended up being one of the few people from the Ultimate Universe to survive the rebirth of the multiverse due to Molecule Man's favor. Since then, him and his family have been living out in Earth 616. He's been a member of the Avengers, the Champions, the Ultimates, and one of the most important heroes in the world. Miles has all the proportionate strength of a spider, meaning that he's easily superhumanly strong. Like strong enough to easily lift up and throw around a police car, a large box truck, or even a shipping container, which would mean that he's lifting and throwing around up to 34 tons if that shipping container is full. And the crazy thing is that Miles is still kind of growing into his strength. This isn't near his full limit just yet. But even if he hasn't quite maxed out in strength, Spider-Man can still throw a mean punch. Like the kind of punch that has no problem sending Green Goblin flying all around, even flying straight through buildings. The kind of punch that can one-shot a lot of opponents, can beat Hammerhead all up even with his fancy adamantium skull, and just generally overpower everyone that he runs across. And just like Peter, Miles is always holding back in a fight. When the moment calls for it, Miles will sometimes stop holding back, like when he shattered Cap's shield with just one punch. Now, granted, this was Hydra Cap, it also wasn't Steve Rogers' classic vibranium shield, but it was still really tough, and Miles broke it with just one hit. And it's not just the proportionate strength of a spider either. Miles is way tougher than pretty much everyone else around him. He's been thrown way far by Rhino and was just fine. Has actually repeatedly been fine after taking punches from Rhino, from Green Goblin, both of which have given Peter Parker a bunch of trouble in the past. He survived hits from Morlun, who can straight up kill other Spider-Men, and it's never just physical punches. Like one of Prowler's sonic attacks was able to do this. Miles took a whole freaking beatdown from him. He's survived heat-seeking missiles, energy blasts from Vision, and powerful electric attacks, heat that can melt Iron Man's armor, or even surviving hours of intense torture and experimentation that was meant to bring him to his breaking point. But the best thing that Spider-Man has going for him? Well, it's the same as any other Spider-Man, his speed and agility. Spider-Man can move and react within microseconds. Iron Man once told him that he had to destroy an ancient artifact in a microsecond in order to prevent an army from making it through the portal, and Miles was successful. He's regularly been able to dodge bullets, react to bullets, block bullets, even after they've been fired. And sometimes they were fired by some of the world's best marksmen, like Winter Soldier. So it's not so much a matter of bad aim or missed shots. Miles is simply just faster than bullets. And he's able to use that kind of speed to regularly dance around opponents, easily react to punches and attacks thrown his way. His reaction times and reflexes make him nearly untouchable. And then on top of that, you throw in his spider sense, it's a miracle that Miles has ever been tagged before. It warns him of pretty much every incoming attack and allows him to predict what will happen next, oftentimes before the attacker actually even has the chance to attack. But those are all normal Spider-Man powers. What sets Miles apart are his electricity powers and the ability to turn invisible. With his invisibility, well, he's regularly able to use it to sneak up on opponents and get the drop on them, catching them by surprise and taking them out. He's also able to use it to sneak around or to hide from enemies. And he's like ridiculously good at this too. Like Miles was able to stay hidden on the Maker's ship, where villains like Thanos, Namor, and the Maker were hanging out and none of them knew he was there. Then Spider-Man's body also produces a powerful form of bioelectricity, which Miles can then manipulate all sorts of different ways. Like he learned how to discharge energy blast from his hands, which he calls Venom Blast, which can either simply daze someone or knock them out entirely. Like he's used them to knock out Venom, knock out Rhino, they've knocked out Spider-Man before. He's even somehow managed to knock out Fin Fang Foom, an injured Null. He can fire Venom stings out as energy blast. He'll regularly use them to amp his punches and make them more powerful. And Spider-Man is also able to do what he calls a Mega Venom Blast. That's where he releases a powerful blast of energy from all over his body, destroying most of the area around him, and he can use it to take out a whole group of enemies. And recently, Miles has even been learning how to create constructs out of bioelectric energy, like creating electric webbing or even electric swords. So at the end of it all, Miles Morales is looking like one of the most powerful Spider-Men out there, right? Yeah, I'd say so. But that still raises the question of how he compares against the OG Spider-Man, Mr. Peter Parker. Could Miles one day surpass him in power? Well, Miles does have a good edge here. He's got pretty much every single power that Pete has, but on top of that, he's got all of his bioenergy powers in Venom Blast, plus the ability to turn invisible. And even when it comes to physicality, sure, Peter might be stronger now, but you could argue that's just because he's older. Give Miles a few more years to grow and mature, and that difference might not be there. We've already seen that Miles is roughly just as strong as Pete was when he was Miles' age. Same with experience. Sure, Peter has plenty more years of experience with the whole super heroics thing, but again, give it a few more years for Miles and that could become a non-factor. But of course, Miles isn't quite there just yet, and you really don't want to discount Pete's physicality. Like Peter is constantly holding back his true strength. When Doc Ock took over Spider-Man's body for a little while, well, he accidentally took off a villain's jaw one of the first times he threw a punch. He had severely underestimated just how strong Peter was, and he never knew that Spider-Man was holding back in every one of his fights. On top of that, when the daughter of Peter Parker time traveled back to the past to see her dad in his prime, well, the one thing that she was shocked at wasn't just that he was very strong, but that he was very fast, which is actually a rare combination in Marvel. Usually the strongest characters tend to be clunky and slower compared to their faster, agile counterparts, but not Spider-Man. While he might not be the fastest or the strongest, the best way to put it is that he's stronger than everyone faster than him, and faster than everyone stronger than him. And then of course, one area where Peter has a clear edge over Miles is in intelligence. Sure, sometimes Miles is portrayed as pretty smart on his own, but more often than not, he's just like a regular guy. Meanwhile, Peter is like top 10 smartest people in the Marvel universe. He's often able to outthink his opponents, come up with unique solutions to problems, and he'll use math and science to defeat his most powerful villains. Who knew that stuff could actually come in handy? But when it comes down to it, yeah, Miles might physically surpass Peter one day. He's definitely growing in power, it could happen. and his bioelectric powers and invisibility will always give him an edge in a fight. But I don't think he'll actually ever get to be better than Spider-Man. See, Peter right now isn't the strongest Spider-Man. That would probably be Scarlet Spider. He's not the fastest or doesn't have the best spider sense. That would be Silk. He might not even be the smartest. That'd be a toss-up with Superior Spider-Man. What Peter does have is the best balance between all his powers and abilities, and that's what essentially makes him the best of the spiders. It's the same as over in the Bat family. Nightwing is more acrobatic than Batman. Red Hood is much more brutal and ruthless than Batman. Tim Drake is the better detective. Cassandra Cain is the better hand-to-hand fighter. Damian is even the better warrior and soldier. But still, none of them are actually better than Batman. Because while they might be better at him in one thing, Batman is better at them in everything else. Peter Parker is like that for the Spider family. There may be some things that he can't do, but he's still the best of them. But who knows? With how much more powerful Miles is getting day to day, I could just be talking out my butt, and he might very well surpass Peter one day, earning that top spot as the ultimate Spider-Man. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.